This is Anand here from Guindy Times. Today we'll be interviewing a well-known individual in the IT world and a vast experience in the industry. She is currently working as the head of software in Celestica, a sponsor of ITRIX. I am delighted to welcome Ms. Shah to the interview. How are you doing today, ma'am?
Hey, doing very well. I'm very happy to be on this conversation with you.
It's ma'am. Let's start the interview with something light. What was your inspiration to become a professional in the IT industry, and when did you realize that this was your passion?
So the inspiration came, I think, many years ago. I mean, I always had an inclination towards maths and science, and especially at that time when I was in school, you tend to either gravitate. Now today, you definitely have more choices, but at that point was either medical or engineering. So I'd kind of eliminate, so more like trial and elimination. I'd said, okay, not medicine. My choices are leaning towards engineering or pharmacy. So just so happened that engineering picked me and I picked engineering, and here I am.
It's a very true fact that most students do face that problem. My next question is about your vast educational history. We know what you have done. We know that you have done your MSc in the University of Massachusetts Amherst, a reputed institution. How was your experience there, and what led you to choose that particular institution?
My undergraduate in Bombay. I've always grown up in Bombay, and especially then, I think majority of you on this, at least in your institution, would not have been born then, right? It's almost 30 odd years ago. So I at that point, the curriculum probably was not as advanced as it is today for engineering. So I always felt I needed to do something more beyond my undergrad to kind of be more employable. Right? That was a thought process I had then. Something that was always drilled into my head from a very young age is be financially independent. So I remember my first, my only internship that I did when I was in my undergrad. At the end of a month, I had a paycheck of 600 rupees. Right? I was very happy with it. But then I was trying to correlate, okay, will this, what does this mean in terms of getting a job after that? And so I'd always felt I would do a master's after my undergrad just to learn a little bit more. I honestly had no choice of location. I actually was very keen on doing my master's and then my PhD, both from India. But personal circumstances also changed, and I had a sister in the US, and she said, okay, why don't you come try it out here? So that's kind of how it happened. I just, picked some colleges near where she was and got admission to UMass and went there. In terms of experience, I think in academics, it was completely different from what, I had exposure to over here versus how it was there. But it was good because we got a lot of, exposure to different styles of learning. The coursework itself was, again, from master's to undergrad and master's, a big jump. So it wasn't easy initially. It was quite difficult, just kind of learning that whole system and the process. But I think overall, at the end of, I finished actually my master's a year and a half at the co-op in the middle. If I look back on my journey today, I think that period of time, I think, was my biggest personal growth as well. Right. So outside of the whole academics and all that, there were a lot of different learnings I got, through that. So yes, there was definitely lots of ups and downs in that cycle, but it kind of helped me get to my next steps.
It's truly an inspiring story, ma'am. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that in the future. We as future technologists are eager to know what is in store for us when we enter the industry in the upcoming years. Can you elaborate your journey from your perspective?
Okay. So I think, if I look at it today, right, there's so much happening in the technology space. I mean, literally every second, every minute, there's something new out there. It's, it's really actually an exciting time. A lot of advances, a lot of different, solutions. I mean, you ask for it, it's there. Maybe in some ways it throws out the thing, hey, there's too much choice and options, and how do you do it? Maybe that leads to some confusion. I don't know. But so I think the advantage today definitely is there's a lot of information at hand, right? I mean, things like you'll have your organizations, you'll create like this ISTA, you have like a network, you can find more things, connect with more people. So I think today, I think it's all up to the individual, what they want to do, how far they want to go. It's literally there. It's just showing the initiative, a little bit more drive, and that kind of will help everybody navigate through their career journey. So I don't know if I answered your entire question, but did I answer it all?
So it definitely did. I'm sure a lot of students will be benefiting from this advice. That was very informational.
Yeah, I'll just explain a little bit more. So when I started, right, I mean, I started in the early 90s. I did a co-op for a little bit. And then I started, actually always been in the networking field. My first job was with, tied to one of the courses I'd done in networking. And I enjoyed it. So I just stayed through my entire career in the networking space. And it's been an exciting journey because, while, things just kept evolving around me as well, right, in terms of the whole networking telecommunications industry. But I think what's key through all that, right, my first project was around tokenry. Nobody even talks about tokenry. I don't know if you all study it anymore in college. So I think the key there is to not kind of stagnate, no matter what you're doing, what's your field, what your profession is, to constantly try and learn something, right? I think that's important to help you, then navigate your journey. Because even things, I mean, you might have learned so many things in college, but technology is going to change within the next, forget a year, within the next month, right? So kind of staying current helps as well to kind of keep you through.
How was your experience working on one of the largest tech companies in the world, teletechnologies?
So, I mean, since I'm in Celestica, I'll answer more towards Celestica, but I think overall my career, I worked in several large companies. I've started my career actually in co-oping. I started with IBM, then I moved on to another large company, digital. I did some startups in the middle. So I think from every company I've worked with, including my previous company, the experience and the learning has been really good. Always something, different you learn, whether it's the technology. There's a lot of, sometimes the larger corporations have the, advantage of maybe more focused learning programs, a larger network. So I've actually very honestly enjoyed, every company I've been in. So, and like I said, technology, actually in the startups I was at, see a different slice of, how, I mean, maybe the engagement is a little different level. You're doing almost everything. Right? Whatever is required, you just do it. But even in the larger companies I work with, including my very first one, the group I was in always said, hey, even though we're a small, very large, highly growing team within the larger corporation. And so that mindset, right, that the quick thinking, the innovation, I think that even was really good. And I see some of that even today at Celestica, right? We're growing very fast. The group we're in, called the Hardware Platform Solutions Group, has really good growth and a lot of opportunities. So even while we're in a larger company, that innovative mindset, that that the potential to do so many more things, that's exciting. I think.
Next question is very common among students. Is it really necessary to be a great coder or a code whiz in order to get into the industry and do well?
So is it necessary to do coding? I think maybe I should put that question back to you, but so it depends on where in the industry, right? Because when we look at, say, the technology space is large. If you're looking at, say, a development or a software engineering role, then I'd say, yes, knowing not just coding. I think coding is really the tip of that iceberg, right? Like everything else that changes, your programming languages also change all the time. But the fundamentals, right? Understanding how operating system works, how your algorithms, your data structure. So I think knowing the fundamentals is important. You may be in an allied role, may not be directly in the software space at all, right? It may be in, I think in hardware design requires some level of programming knowledge, but maybe it's somebody wants to be a tech writer or a financial analyst in the technology industry or business analyst. Maybe the dependence on your software knowledge is a bit less. But it's always, some skill around that I think is good to have. But if your fundamentals are in place, it's easy to always pick it up. I'll date myself and I'll tell you all, just to give you a comparison. In my undergraduate, I think in the third year of engineering, we learned BASIC. And in the final year, we did Fortran, Pascal, and COBOL, right? Again, very, very different from what we started using, even from the word go when I started working. But the fundamentals stayed, right? So it doesn't matter today that, we don't use BASIC, but so things will keep changing. So it's good always to have some skill or some basic fundamentals.
Sure, that clears a lot of doubts, ma'am. Our next question is, being a successful woman in a male-dominated industry, What would be your advice to young budding female technologists and engineers who are about to enter the industry?
I think today, the generation today, whether it's male or female, they have probably very clued in today, right? So they have a lot of exposure and knowledge. So in a lot of cases, I look to them for what's happening in their space and take advice from them as well. Right? It's kind of mutual. Male-dominated industry, it's changing slowly, so it's not as much. I think we're definitely doing within all our organizations. We are also taking additional steps to make sure that the ratio is more balanced. For myself, I think right from my engineering days, I'm kind of used to that, because in my class of between electronics and computers, we had 200 students, and the total number of women was 14. Right, so that ratio was very skewed. but that was when I started. As we were graduating, that incoming batch, the ratios were already much better. So I've never, it's never really, the gender has never really played a big role in the way I think. I think in terms of achievements and how I work together, how professional everybody is. And I've been fortunate that in the all the companies I've worked with, the work culture also has been very supportive, right? So that has not played as much of a role, the gender. But having said that, I know that because I do, I'm part of different panels and organizations. I know it's not probably the same for everybody. Depends on sometimes the struggle is a little bit more coming into this industry. What's good, like I said, there's a lot of focus on getting those numbers up, and there's a lot of. So I think coming back to your question, definitely looking for mentors. I think early on, I think that helps, because that sometimes helps you. There's like a sounding board, right? You may get stuck with something or challenged with something, but hey, now you're a little think tank that can help you move on to the next step. I think when you're looking for opportunities or jobs, I think finding something where the culture. So the interviews are not just important for the employer to know the employee. It's the other way as well, right? So it's your opportunity to say, hey, what's the culture at work? How is it supportive towards women? So all of those will make a difference. So I think my advice, not to just the female newcomers or fresh grads, including the male, would be believe in yourself. Keep your confidence levels high, and look for either a buddy or a mentor. Ideally, maybe more than one, so you have somebody who can kind of help you, through the journey. Because it is different from college life to working life. You're going to have different things that you encounter. So why not learn from somebody else's experience as well? So.
How is it working for Celestica? Can you tell us a little bit more about the company and the corporate culture there and its workings?
So Celestica itself has been around now for about 25 years, a little over 25 years. It was founded in Toronto. I've been there actually almost just about a year now. Right? So what's exciting for me, and the reason I joined Celestica, was one, it's been on a growth pattern. It's very strong growth potential. But the charter that I was asked to kind of lead was to increase the software footprint. Right, so there's a lot of potential. The company as such has been going very well in the last few years, but there's opportunity to do some more, right, in the software space. So we are actually opening a center here right now in Chennai. So that's my main charter. So that was very exciting for me. So that's one of the things in my long career. I'd say, okay, done this, done that. If I start something or go to another company, I want to do something more where I can build, help build a culture, help directly grow something. So this kind of fit all the parameters I had, and that's my reason for joining Celestica. Again, I said, in terms of culture, having been fortunate in all the companies I work with to have a very supportive work culture, that was one of the things I definitely looked at, right? I mean, yes, it's leading in technology. They do a lot of products for hyperscalers. I think that's at least a group I work in. That's a very strong revenue potential. We make products in networking, storage, servers, hardware as well as software for some of the largest companies globally. So I knew all that, but I think also, along with all that, what was important to me, what's the culture, right? Is it, especially now, a lot of just with the last 2 years, everyone's remote, right? And you have geographically spread location. So what's that work culture? Is it collaborative? Is it supporting? Is it teamwork? And I really like that part about Celestica as well. So, right? From taking that culture, that's just a great platform then to continue to build that. So that's what we're doing. We're starting our center in Chennai. It should be, the actual office should be open the next few months. So it's been an entire, very, very exciting journey in that sense. I enjoy working there.
I'm sure as an IT student, I'm very happy to hear that the work culture is good in
Yes, yeah.
companies.
Yeah. And the other part I'd like to add, right, because you also want to be in a company which kind of helps you, where you also contribute into that culture, right? You don't want something where, hey, everything is set up and you just come in and say, okay, now, I mean, there is some, there is like an ecosystem that's around you, but each team member is an equal part of promoting that work culture and being a part of it. I think that's important.
For our next question, ma'am, we can see that you've been working as a mentor with the My Daughter is Precious initiative for the last 2 years. Can you tell us more about the initiative and your experience in it?
Sure. So I started working as it's not working, it's a voluntary thing with My Daughter is Precious for the last couple of years. Prior to that, I do a lot of mentoring, just within the corporate space or, young professionals or different career levels. And I really like that. I like the mentoring, whether it's part of, one-on-one, it can be a group like a mentor circle. So this opportunity to be part of My Daughter, especially, just came on a very, it was like just a message that came on my husband's alumni network, actually saying, hey, we're looking for mentors. And here's the kind of the background. So the word mentor caught my attention. I said, okay, let me look at it. I wasn't familiar with the organization or the people that sent it. And what caught my eye was, this organization really works for the upliftment of women in underprivileged or underprivileged communities or areas. And that's something I've felt, when I enjoy mentoring, I enjoy, I like paying it, in my words, paying it forward. But I felt I was doing it more for people like me, right? They already have a certain educational background. They're already in, a corporate kind of setup. But when we look at, other maybe demographics, right? Not everybody is fortunate. They might have come from a very smaller town in India. Maybe the opportunities are, it's a very different struggle they're dealing with. So I think that really, she drew me towards this platform. So I said, hey, let me, something I really felt I wanted to do. It's been good. I've just been seeing the progress that, that organizations and NGO has been making over the last couple of years. So they have about, I think every batch is about 12 or 15, young women. They're typically the second or third year of college, right? BA, BSc. And they get a scholarship from the NGO and they get a mentor assigned. And the battles are so different from what we might see in an urban town. So it's been very rewarding to kind of make some change, at least in their career prospects, in the way they see the world. So I think just from that engagement, I find it very satisfying. I think in some way that I can help bring change, even if it's one person. Across, I think there's like 12 or 15 mentors. They do like workshop, life skills workshops, and a lot of different things they've been adding on. Yeah, that resonates with with what I'm dealing. So.
And now for our final question, how do you feel about Guindy Times and ITRIX collaboration that has made this interview possible?
Okay, so I actually went on your, the Guindy Times, your website, and was reading it. It was actually absolutely amazing to see that, because my first question when I said, okay, I hope it's a student-led initiative. And it is, right? Your entire panel of contributors and the entire staff that runs it is student-led. So it was, yeah. So I think that was, because that's one thing I really look for when we're looking at, hiring talent is, the initiative they show, right? So I'm sure if I did a reverse interview with, your team in Guindy Times, you'll have a lot of, interesting stories and the learnings you had through that journey of, being part of Guindy Times. So it was amazing to see. I read a lot of the taglines that the different team members had. So I think it's great. I think just the initiative, students are showing, and and the breadth of topics you had. It's not just we focus on this. It's a really good platform, I think, for not just the core team that handles Guindy Time, but it's open to, I think, all the students. 7,000 followers on Instagram. That was cool as well. So I didn't join on Instagram. I did join your LinkedIn profile yesterday. So you're one more at least than yesterday. So I think it's absolutely amazing to have an organization that's student led and for the students, by the students. Absolutely amazing. ISTA as well. A lot of different programs through that. I think the reach you'll have, it's really good. I think what it gives students across, right? It gives them a platform to do something different, showcase different talents. Networking, that's something, not networking as the computer networking, but meeting different people across streams, having that exposure to industry leaders or other peers from your similar batches. All good things. I think this can only take you further and further. So absolutely, really loved seeing that engagement and the format of what you had.
Thank you, ma'am. It was truly a pleasure and honor interacting with you in this interview. We here at Guindy Times are truly privileged to have a person of your caliber interact with us. We, in behalf of Guindy Times and Anna University, wish you luck in all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, and wish all of you, all the students out there, a lot of success and a great journey forward.